Hello, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Won't be a crazy long stream tonight. Basically just getting on to do some leveling. Because Final Fantasy XIV, I think, is best approached like clearing out a mine. You just do a little bit each day. A little bit each day. But I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the stream. Hello, 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 hello. Hopefully everyone's having a good day. David, good to see you. Hello. Knight of Ren. You know what time it is? It's almost my bedtime, but there is enough of a period before then to do some leveling. Skywampa, good to see you. Hope everyone's doing well. And we're not going to waste any time. We're just going to jump right into it. How are y'all? What's everybody up to? Living Legend, good to see you. Whew. Whew. Did see the dentist today. Went well. Unfortunately, it turned out well, actually, to be technically correct, I did not get to see the dentist because it turned out my dentist was sick, apparently. Instead, I just saw my hygienist because I was supposed to get like all of my what's it called? I was supposed to get hygienist stuff done, like cleaning all the gums and everything. And then also to get one of my old fillings replaced. But the dentist apparently was ill, so we didn't do the filling, but we did all the hygienist stuff, which is fine. I need to get that done anyway. Because they because like it's weird because you can get like bacteria and stuff like trapped like apparently just underneath your gums. And they've got like stuff they do to clear that all out. So got that done. Wasn't too bad. Just counting down the days until 9.0. Yeah, it shouldn't be too long before like the next notable update. I imagine there will probably be another update for 9.0. Probably, knowing my luck, it'll probably happen while I'm gone at Offkai. But we will have to see. I do apologize for all the yawns. It's been a long day, and I didn't get as much sleep as I would have liked last night, so I am a little tired. You have another Bretonia question? What you got for me today? I'm thinking by doing all dailies, we should be able to get to like 60 something. Probably like 67, I think. I'll bet we hit 67 tonight. I don't think we'll hit 70. Morning Firestorm, hi! And Scrappy Bristol, hello as well. I commented on what you said, but I didn't actually say hello. I hope you're doing well. What would I say is Lewin Langker's best trait? Is there any trait he has that others don't match? So, I mean, Lewin Langker's best trait is that, by far, is that Lewin is... Probably the best way to describe it is that Lewin Langker is shown to be a deeply empathetic and more down-to-earth Bretonnian. Like, but Lewin takes the concept of chivalry incredibly seriously. To the point that he is a man that very much walks in the path that the lady has set down for humanity. So he cares incredibly deeply about ensuring that, like, that he is chivalrous, that he cares for those who cannot take care of themselves, that he gives everyone, whether a peasant, a noble, or a knight, like, equal opportunity to come before him and to speak before his throne. That he is, in a lot of ways you could say that he's very kind, in sort of his own unique way. That is probably what makes him the most unique, is that many Bretonnian knights believe in chivalry and all this stuff, but their own humanity, like their bias towards seeing social class, their belief that they're superior to others, their inability to recognize peasants as being, like, human, like, all of those things they struggle to, like, see past that, whereas that seems to be something Lewin is very, very good at. I mean, Lewin does have flaws, some unfortunately very unexplored flaws. One of the, like, major storytelling beats about Lewin Langker, after all, is that Lewin is supposedly married. Like, he supposedly has a wife. Like, there is a queen of Bretonnia, allegedly. We know literally nothing about her. We don't know a goddamn thing about the Queen of Bretonnia. Whether or not she even exists is, like, debatable. But one of the major story beats about Lewin is that he has a bastard. He has an illegitimate son. So, like, despite all of his like, noted kindness and his a bit, like, his being a paragon, being a literal paragon of how the Bretonnians believe life should be organized, he still, you know, had a son out of wedlock that, granted, seems to have seen his father in a very positive light. Like, Malobod allegedly starts his journey through life as an adult, like, very much emulating his father. Like, he believes very deeply in what it is to be a Bretonnian, and he becomes, like, almost a knight of legend in his own pursuit as a questing knight of the Grail, which he seems to do because he's emulating his father. He's walking in the same footsteps as his father. But, of course, as we've spoken about in the past, Malobod ends up discovering something about the Lady of the Lake that leads him on a much darker path. Though what exactly he discovers and how true whatever he discovered is quite debatable. You know, one could argue that he was misled, or the thing that he thought he discovered wasn't what he thought it was, or that he discovered something about the lady that is true, but what he's identified is something from like a very human perspective. And because the lady is not human, one might argue that, you know, she's definitely an elven goddess, or just a goddess, but like the way that she treats Bretonia, he comes to see that as like an objective evil or a deep evil. Whereas it seems like when his father walked that same journey, his father instead reaffirmed his faith. So I don't know. It's a whole tricky thing. Lewin, at the end of the day, the biggest shame to Lewin is that he is a very unexplored character. He is a character that did not receive nearly the amount of development that he deserved to. He's been around for a really long time in like the lore, several editions. Not as long as you might think though. Lewin was actually not the king of Bretonia if you go back to 5th edition, which you actually see this if you read the Genevieve novels or listen to the Genevieve audiobook and such, because if you listen to those stories, they take place during they mostly take place during the reign of Karl Franz. And one of the things you may notice when you're listening to it is that the king of Bretonia is mentioned several times, and the king, according to those books, is King Charles, who is obviously not Lewin. So Lewin shows up in, I believe, 6th edition, as opposed to like super duper early. So, and because he didn't really seem to show up till 6th, he might have been in 5th. I'd have to check, but I want to say it was King Charles in 5th.
Greetings, nerds.
Hey, how you doing? But because he wasn't around until like really 6th edition, he basically only got a single army book about him, and then all of the other lore was like other factions talking about him, instead of being like direct information relating to like who he actually is as a character, which is disappointing, because it just means we just didn't get as much development on him as we should have, which is really a shame. Like the roleplay game added a decent amount about him, but even then, Bretonia only has ever had a singular book, you know? There's only one Bretonian Warhammer Fantasy roleplay book that's even remotely modern, and that's Knights of the Grail, which is definitely showing its age in more ways than one. And then you have like the whole thing with Bretonians only got a single edition where they're like kind of modernish. 5th edition Bretonia was very similar to 6th edition Bretonia. It wasn't the exact same, but it was similar. Because 5th edition was when they went from being like revolutionary France to more of like a King Arthur and his knights kind of vibe, which was a pretty significant change for them. But yeah, unfortunately, he's kind of he's more of a mystery than he should be, which is a shame. Chex Mixer, thank you so much for the 21 months. I really appreciate it. I hope you're having a great night. Will we get more Bretonian Legendary Lords? We better. I want one more at least. If we could get one more Bretonian Lord, then I would be sated enough to like shut up and stop bringing it up. The most likely Legendary Lord for the most likely legendary lord options for the final Bretonian lord will either be Bahamut the Beast Slayer or Bertrand the Brigand. It'll be one of those two, and whichever one we don't get will likely end up being a legendary hero. But those are the most realistic options. There's really nobody else that's relevant to Bretonia that isn't already in the game. Because, like, the next biggest character, you know, would be, like, well, the Green Knight, who's already in the game, though he does need a rework. Hope all well actually working. Good job tonight. That's down the street from where I watched Sotek's Kimmler stream for Halloween way back. That was way back. That was a fun costume. Though I remember I got really sick after that. I will never forget the Kimmler Halloween because I had a really good time with that outfit, but that was also when I got the first and really only but that was like the first time I ever got like a stomach ulcer. And it was literally like that night that I like started really noticing it. And I was not feeling good for a while. That was one of those annoying times I had to like advocate for myself when dealing with doctors. Cause like when I originally saw like the GP stuff, they were like, oh, like we don't, they thought it was like a bunch of other stuff. And I was like, I did some research and it really feels like it's an ulcer. Like based on what I've read, it seems like it's an ulcer. And they were like, well, it could be, I suppose. And I was like, all right, I really just want to go see a specialist and get like a endoscopy. And they were like, all right. And I went and got an endoscopy and I was right. I did have an ulcer. And then I got it treated. And I learned about sucralfate, which is like one of the best drugs ever made in the universe. Because it'll take your stomach ulcer and just be like, nope. Immense suffering? Not today, Satan. Ulcer's no joke. Yeah, that shit hurt. That shit hurt real bad. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those things. It's kind of like allergies, and like I think about sometimes about like allergies, and it's like, man, living in like ye olden days before we like were like, oh yeah, we have like really straightforward ways on how to deal with this. You just do like X, Y, or Z. Like just take these pills or whatever. And the fact that they're just like, oh yeah, no, we have no idea. Could you imagine living back then of them being like, oh, you have an ulcer? Have some cocaine like mixed with alcohol and hope it works out. Just being like, oh god. Enjoy having stomach acid directly on the lining of your stomach without any protective coating.
I will say I think it's between Malagord and the Beast Slayer for the final spot for Bretonia. Bertrand is my most wanted legendary lord in the game at this point, but I don't see GW letting a peasant being a lord.
I think GW might surprise you on that, but it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I think it would depend on how CA approached them with a pitch. Because they have allowed us to have a couple of weird legendary lords throughout like the history of Warhammer. Most of the recent ones have been like pretty straightforward, but like, I mean, I actually don't think Bathsheba is a terrible example. Like, Bathsheba being a legendary lord for Cathay in some ways is kind of an interesting choice. I think if you were arguing from GW's perspective, she's not really lord level material. She's much more like hero level material. But it's difficult to tell with them. And Bretonia, admittedly, Bretonia is a very, like, unique case, because Bretonia is not like every other faction in the game, because Bretonia had such little support, that the amount of, like, official material they have is incredibly small. Like, even Malobod was never a playable character. Never. He was always, he literally existed in like the background of the setting. And he got to have like kind of a cool moment in the opening scenes of the end times, but he was never a playable character. He never had a miniature. The closest thing to him was like the Black Knight. The Black Knight, the original Black Knight was not Malobod. It was just a guy called the Black Knight.
X100. At Lawmaster of Satek, I am aboard now. I no longer have hair to keep the evil out.
You're bald now? What happened? Was it like sudden, or did you make a choice? Shut it all off was losing. Hey, you know what, Battleflat, I'm proud of you. That could be really, really hard for a lot of people, but like, I have never, ever seen a case where someone was like losing their hair and chose to just get it over with and shave it off, where it looked bad, or like looked worse than like, you know, like not doing it. Here we go. Plus you get to donate like 24 inches of hair to a charity. Oh, well, that's awesome. So not only are you going to be looking good, but you're also are helping out someone in need. That's awesome. Is Carl supposed to get possessed in the end times? Yeah, okay, so yes, he dies, is the technical answer. In the end times story as it's written during the end times, Karl Franz dies. Like, he just flat out dies. He's dead. Period. End of story. He is killed by the Glottkin during the fall of Altdorf. But unbeknownst to basically everyone involved in what was going on, Sigmar possesses his corpse, like, almost like within like a fraction of a second. So, like, the moment Karl Franz dies, he basically dies with a prayer to Sigmar on his lips, and Sigmar answers him because the vortex was unbound. And Sigmar, for yada yada yada, in my opinion, objectively very stupid reasons, was contained within the Wind of Heavens, Azir. And when when the vortex was unbound, he basically, within the wind, he answers the prayer of Karl Franz, and he redirects the wind to, like, slam down into his body. And he possesses the corpse of Karl Franz and basically parades around in Karl Franz's body, pretending to be him, until it's revealed in the final act of the End Times narrative that he is actually Sigmar Heldenhammer, just wearing the body of Karl Franz. It's not one of the it's one of the parts of the End Times I would just flat out get rid of. Like, if you asked me to do a rewrite of the End Times, I would completely get rid of Sigmar. Like, I would not have him as a character at all in the slightest. I might do something, like, with Sigmar during, like, the very last battle between Karl Franz and Archaon, but I would have it be much more subtle. But obviously, they didn't really care about telling a good story. They cared about setting up Age of Sigmar, which in Age of Sigmar, Sigmar is literally walking around like average Joe. Like, he is a physical being again, so they were like, well, we gotta reintroduce him to the narrative as, like, a character rather than a distant deity. And that was that's the way they chose to handle it. And I don't think it was a good idea. One last question for you tonight. What's your most wanted legendary lord after the End Times? Like, immediately, the lord that I want the earliest after the... excuse me. The lord that I want the soonest after the End Times is Egrim von Horseman. I would like to get all of the mono gods done. Like, let's finish it. Let's put it to bed. Let's get it taken care of. Let's wrap it up, people. The lord that I would anticipate the most, like the lord I would be the most, let's say, excited for, would be, of all the potential characters that could come to the game, it would probably be Teto Echo. I really like Teto Echo. He's a super cool character, and it would make me very, very happy for him to be in the game. And he would be like the last lord of the Lizardmen. So that would kind of be like a really heartwarming capstone for me, personally. So that would probably be my answer. I think we should get Vandus Hammerhand as a treat. Biofoot, I will put your hair back on just to snatch it from you again. Get out of that. Get out of here with that. Don't mix AOS into my fantasy pie, sir. I like them separate as God intended. Hey, Judge Dredd, how you doing? Hope you're having a good night. Thank you so much for answering your questions. Have a good night. I have to check pivots tomorrow. It's gonna suck. Ooh, I don't know what you mean by pivots, but I hope whatever it is you gotta do, it's not too bad. And hope you have a lovely night. Oh, irrigation stuff. Okay. Well, I hope it's not too bad. Make sure to stay cool out there. Or at least hydrated. You get a buff. And you get a buff. Now Carl's the Celestin Prime. He is indeed. Good boy. I got a little dicey for a moment. It's like, have faith in me as your healer. I can take this entire floor, just not under the banner, preferably. Come on, you can do it. A little further. There we go. Let's just do the whole floor. Uh-oh, I'm getting hit. Nice. Do you know that all cheap calamari is usually just pig anus? Cool. I'm not a big calamari eater. Hey, I mean, if it works, it works. Maxam Mula Jaja. Oh yeah, he's the two-headed guy. Okie dokie. Gone the wrong way. If you think about Nagash's grand plan, would destroy chaos if everyone was undead. Chaos has no power. That is true. Yes. That is at least what Nagash. Well, that is at least what Nagash deeply believed would happen, and there is a reasonable amount of evidence to support the idea that he was correct. Yeah, we got the worst one. This one has so much fucking dialogue. If y'all have any random topics or questions you want to ask, now is the best time. I will say that. Has there ever been a Death to Chaos switchover? Yeah, there's Heinrich Himmler. Himmler is definitely more of a, was like a pure undead guy that ended up being essentially Team Chaos by the end of his life. Because the Dark Gods were willing to make a bargain with him. What were the Proto-Empire humans like? Human Norskins. So the Norsey tribe, or the Norsey people, were... so they came in with one of the earlier... with like the really, really early human tribes that came over the mountains. So like when the Unburrogans, the Tutikins, and all those guys, the Tulutans, the Avangori, no, it's not Avangori. It doesn't matter. When all of the distinct tribes that would later come to make up the empire came over the mountains, one of those tribes was the Norsey people, and the Norsey people primarily lived up in like the northeastern empire. So they were a little bit, they were kind of close to where Nordland is, and also a bit over into like what we now think of as kind of like southern Kislev and northern Ostland. But they were pretty similar to the they were pretty similar to a lot of the other tribes of that era, where because they had come from the eastern steppes and the chaos wastes, they were a chaos worshipping people, but they didn't recognize the gods as like Kor, Nurgle, Tzeentch, Slaanesh. They worshipped a very broad, diverse pantheon, and they also had a significant amount of ancestor worship. Ancestor worship and revering one's ancestors was a major component of their tribal religion. and their faith, but they acknowledged the chaos powers, and they were willing to make offerings to them, more to like placate them, and but they weren't what they are now. They were much more peaceful than they are in the modern era. Then many centuries down the line, when Sigmar Heldenhammer was born, when Sigmar rose up, he went around basically asking all of the tribes to join him in the battle for Blackfire Pass, to basically join his empire. And the Norsey were one of the groups that said no. And the biggest thing was that Sigmar wanted them to cease their... he basically wanted them to conform to his beliefs and thoughts about the world. And they didn't join him, according to most stories that we have from like the actual canonical sources. They did not join him at the Battle of Blackfire Pass. And once Sigmar won, and he beat the Greenskins back, and he started to unify his empire, he basically went after the Norsey, and he essentially genocides them. Because he sees them as a threat, and sees them as a group that will not give in to him willingly. So he will either break them or kill them. And the Norsey try to fight back, but they are grossly overwhelmed, mainly because Sigmar's people heavily outnumber them, because they're like a bunch of different tribes combined. And they also were not as like skilled or experienced of combatants, seeing as they're going up against veterans from the War of Blackfire Pass, and a bunch of other very powerful warlike tribes who've been around for a really long time. And this leads into, because they start basically being genocided, they start making their way north and fleeing up towards Kislev. But as they head up towards Kislev, they end up running into the Ungol tribes, and the Ungol tribes were very territorial. The ancestors to a good amount of Kislev's population. And the Ungols do not take pity on the Norskins. They attack any of the Norskins they can find and basically force them to keep moving, and they chase them all the way up into Norska itself, especially along the southern shore of Norska, because most people weren't willing to follow them to Norska, because it would either require sailing over the Sea of Claws, which is a fairly hostile inland sea, or they would have to march all the way up through Troll Country, which Troll Country is extremely dangerous. And once they're past Troll Country, they then have to go up into the lands of Norska, which are also incredibly dangerous and really inhospitable. And that led them to where they are today, but even then, that didn't save them, because there were some among their people who were really angry that they had lost what they saw as their ancestral lands, and because they were further up north, they turned more and more to the Whispers of the Dark Gods, which they were closer to now more than ever, because they were so much closer to the realm of chaos, by like many hundreds of miles. And so amidst all of that, they start praying more and more to the gods, and chaos champions start rising among them as the chaos gods answer their pleas for help and their desires for revenge. And then they end up basically going out. They lead a counter invasion down south, where they also are joined by Azazel, who is not Azazel yet. I forget. Garion, or Garen. I think it's Garen. I think it's just Garen. Might be Garion. It's one of those two. But Garion was Sigmar's brother-in-law who tried to assassinate him and kill Sigmar's wife, the only woman he ever married, because he refused to marry again after that, after she died. And it was just a whole fucking thing. And because Garion ended up hiding among the Norskins after the siege of Mindenheim, Sigmar goes on another genocide of the Norskins in his attempts to find Azazel to kill him once and for all, because he was still mortal then. And that actually leads to the rise of Morkar, Morkar the Uniter, because Morkar was a Norskin whose home was put to the sword and burned down by Sigmar when he was looking for Azazel. So there you go. Is Troll Country dangerous because of all the wacky inflatable tube men in the area? No, those are just really large worms. Those are just like baby dreadmaws. I don't miss having to pick up the keys to the mech in this dungeon, but the one thing I do miss about the 8-man version is playing Mario Kart music in my head while racing some of the players at the end. There you go. Also, I hope y'all enjoyed the Total War stream earlier today. I had a really good time playing with Mimi. Mimi Maple she is pretty fun to game with. She's a pretty cool bean. Ba, 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 ba. You know what? I need to silence this fucking thing. I don't know why I've left that on for so long. It's just annoying. So, Tech, what is the moment where human-sized Skaven are actually real? Okay, when you say actually real, do you mean like IRL, or do you mean like... I hope we get the Snakemen of Koresh. Me too. Snakemen of Koresh are probably the biggest potential faction that I'm the most excited about. Real actual things, not rumors. Probably when we have our own nuclear apocalypse or climate crisis that brings about the end of humanity and something rises out of the ashes after us. That'll probably be the Skaven. It'll either be Ratmen or Cockroachmen, one of the two. And then there will be all the major stories about They'll make their own version of Warhammer where all of the factions are ratmen, except for the one evil group of mythical ape men that lives in the swamp in near the Ratman version of Italy. Yeah, Dogs of War would be the most likely next faction, yes. We need cockroachmen in Warhammer? That's literally just Tyranids. Have you not seen Matara, the cockroach, or the Tyranid cockroach? Well, technically she's a cockroach VTuber, but like she's basically a Tyranid VTuber. No. Good old main scenario with its 20 minutes of cutscenes. Ugh. We're bursting him down pretty good, at least. Just this, and then one more cutscene to go. Wait, no, that's not true. We have 2 more cutscenes after this. No, I guess it's kind of just one. Fucking Nero. All I can think of when I see the Malefic 1/2 is Kirby spitting stars. Bro, I wish that's how Astrologian worked. Astrologian would be so much cooler if he was just sucking up people's attacks and spitting them back at them. That'd be so fucking funny. That'd be such a fantastic ability for no explanation. Where you just like create like a funnel and it just sucks in stuff and spits it back out. That'd be great. I'd love that. I need to do some deep cleaning tomorrow. I need to vacuum tomorrow. This is the big thing. I gotta put out trash tonight too. It'll probably be storming when I get out there. Okay, last cutscene.
Look for the lips control panel. It'll be somewhere nearby. Take the lid down, and you should find yourself in the chamber of the Ultima weapon.
I like how the warrior of light just like randomly is an expert at using Garlean technology. Like either that or just has like the most easy to understand basic bitch UI known to man.
Keep your eyes peeled. Gaius could be waiting for you down there. Oh, and don't even think about dying. You're too bloody useful. The interference is getting worse. I don't think the connection will last much.
Tell me, for whom do you fight? Do you believe in Eorzea? Eorzea's unity is forged of falsehoods. Its city-states are built on deceit, and its faith is an instrument of deception. It is not but a cobweb of lies. To believe in Eorzea is to believe in nothing. In Eorzea, the beast tribes often summon gods to fight in their stead, though your comrades only rarely respond in kind. Which is strange, is it not? Are the 12 otherwise engaged? I was given to understand they were your protectors. If you truly believe them your guardians, why do you not repeat the trick that served you so well in Cartano and call them down?
Because that would be cheating.
They will.
Also, it
so
would probably cause a lot of
lavish
problems.
them with crystals and gorge them on ether. Your gods are no different from those of the beasts. Icons, everyone. Except but this, and you will see how Eorzea's faith is bleeding the land dry. Nor is this unknown to your masters, which prompts the question, why do they cling to these false deities? What drives even men of learning, even the great Louis Soir, to grovel at their feet? The answer? Your masters lack the strength to do otherwise. For the world of man to mean anything, man must own the world. To this end, he hath fought ever to raise himself through conflict, to grow rich through conquest.
That's just getting numbers.
And when the dust of battle settles, it is ever the strong who dictate the fate of the weak. Knowing this, but a single path is open to the infinite ruler, that of false worship, a path which leads to innovation and death. Only a man of power can rightly steer the course of civilization. And in this land of creeping mendacity, that one truth will prove its salvation. Come, champion of Eorzea, face me. Your defeat shall serve as proof of my readiness to rule.
Ah, let's get this over, guys. I got shit to do
It
tonight.
is only right that I should take your realm, for none among you has the power to stop me.
I wonder if someone has like vaguely added up the math of like how many times someone kills Gaius on average in their journey to like get to like from starting the game to like modern content. Like the end of Dawn Trail. Like on average, how many times would someone have likely killed Gaius? Or had to listen to that speech? Because that number is probably absolutely fucking gigantic.
Know your place. Come. We shall see if you can finish what you have started.
Alright, final phase time. Let's go. Does that mean Kote has such a high-pitched voice?
Mine by right.
Fucking die, you loser. But hey, you know what? That got us to level 66. So there is that at least. And we should hit 67 pretty easily actually tonight. Which is pretty good, because that means the next time we do a leveling stream, we will absolutely be on a Shadow of a Doubt hit 70. Which is pretty cool. I hate Shoofly Don't Bother Me. It's such an annoying quest. Actually, wait, no. Shoofly is not as bad. It's the Wyvern one that's really annoying. Have any of y'all seen the new Ogre Over Tyrant? I haven't memorized her name yet. What is it, Murag or something like that? I really want to see that mini, like, next to other minis, because I suspect that it's much bigger than it initially looks in the release article. It's a pretty good-looking miniature, though. Damn fine skull. Yeah, I was expecting something a little more like just Grease's Goldtooth on a big monster, but I actually think I like what they did more, because like it's kind of understated, but like in a nice way. Especially because like you kind of already have a diorama character with the prophet of the Maw, because the new prophet of the Maw character is quite a bit larger. Like it's like a fucking ridiculous piece, considering it's got like a huge it's more of a diorama than a traditional model. Do you disagree with the need for a chest wrap, though? I can't imagine ogres chest feed the young. I think they probably do, actually. Like, they're still mammalian, so I imagine ogres do actually breastfeed. Oh, come on. There we go. Nice. We got that done in time. Hey, Flatline Hotline, how are you doing? Good to see you. How's my day been? It's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. We had a really nice time with Mimi Maple this morning. Oh, Void Arc. Holy moly. I don't think we've done Void Arc since we did it legit, like, ages ago. Is that fucking Monkey D. Luffy? No, that helmet's kind of cool looking. This music's like weirdly chill. Whenever I imagine ogre younglings, I imagine them with full teeth. They almost certainly would have. I think it should be like spiders, where younger ogres are more dangerous because they can't control their bite. That is probably the case. Yeah, I imagine young ogres would be very odd by human standards. Ah, yes, the plant hydra. Damn it, almost had it. Shoof, 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 shoof. Ah, good old Diabolos. A blackguard. Slay Kukulane. Nothing like killing a guy named after an Irish legend. Oh, Kukulane, what have they done to you? Alright, all that's left is, I think, Echidna? Is Nagash winning just the end of Evangelion? Fuck if I know. Echidna's got kind of a cool design. And she's just ass up at all times, huh? Like, you can literally, she's just got that booty up in the air. She's basically just in doggy style position, like, at all times. No, good for her. I'm not judging. It's just an observation. Got some logs to saw, 99. Have a good night. Thanks so much for dropping by to hang out, Biofoot. Bring her down, bring her down. Ba-ba-bum. The maiming set actually seems like it's kind of cool looking. Notably the helmet. Ah, dang, I was hoping I would get the minion. Oh well. Wind up, Echidna, not this time, sadly. Oh yeah, we'll definitely hit 67 tonight, easy. Still gotta do PvP and a trial. And I still have to turn my journal in for this week too. Nice. Hey, Cornshima, how you doing? From a non-narrative perspective, who would win between Croak versus Nagash and Dragon Emperor versus Nagash? It would depend on which version of Nagash you're using. More than anything. Like, are you talking about End Times Nagash? Are you talking about Great Ritual Nagash? Or are you talking about, like, Nagash throughout most of his history? Like, casual Nagash, we could almost call him. And are you talking about Lord Croak? Are you talking about dead Lord Croak? Or are you talking about alive Lord Croak? I can never be mad at an Alexander go, because the music is always a fucking banger. Could Kairos equal Nagash during his time against Sigmar? Yes. Kairos would have been able to probably rather handedly defeat Nagash during that era. Yeah, I would say. Alright, last one. Smooth as butter. Everyone at the ritual? Okay. If it's Great Ritual Nagash versus Dead Croak versus the Celestial Dragon Emperor at that time, Croak would probably lose. For sure. If they were all fighting in the same room, Nagash would probably lose, because I think the other two would gang up on him. But if he was fighting either of them one-on-one, and it was just, like, can they beat him one-on-one, Nagash would probably beat both of them. Based on the way the narrative is explained in the old world, it seems to be pretty heavily implied that Nagash would rather handedly win. Because that was Nagash at his most powerful. Like he was, Nagash was one of the most like powerful entities known to Warhammer at that exact moment. Like, that was him at his peak. Like, the End Times, I think, kind of tries to portray it as like, oh, End Times Nagash is just as good. He's not. Great Ritual Nagash was a god. Like, he was at the actual uber height of his ability. Like, being able to resurrect all of the dead of one of, if not the, like, one of the largest continents on the planet, by himself, and, like, nothing was, like, the Chaos Gods, all they could do was, like, scream impotently against him. Like, he was kind of on another level. Ah, yeah, right. Thorn's alright. He's not my favorite trial. Now, if either of them brought, like, any help at all, like if the Celestial Dragon Emperor had any of his kids with him, or if he had an army with him, or his wife with him, he could overwhelm Nagash. And if Lord Croak had any support, like if he had his Temple Guard Legion, or he had an army, or he had, like, another Slaawn with him or something, he could also take on Great Ritual Nagash, I think. But it would be a fight. But even, like, one-on-one, they could contest him, but I think ultimately he would win. It would take a lot out of him, but I do believe he would be victorious. I think that living Croak would win very easily against God Nagash. It would probably be more even than you think it would be if they met in those exact circumstances. Like, if it was Lord Croak rolled up on Nagash, and Nagash is, like, in the heart of Nagashazar, he's at the absolute height of his power, and he's, like, got all of his best artifacts. He's, like, basically bending the world to his will. Lord Croak alive might be able to beat him. Like, that, he would stand the best chance. Because his knowledge of magic and sorcery would just be so much better than Nagash's. But to Nagash's own credit, much of what Nagash is wielding is in many ways like anathema to Lord Croak. But I think more than likely Croak would win, but I do think it would be a very difficult battle for him. One of the reasons that Croak was so powerful against the demons, so, like, you know, that really, really infamous scene that everybody loves, which, like, everyone likes to use to measure feats for Lord Croak, which was the Battle of Itza. That wasn't exactly Lord Croak at like his normal level of power. That was Croak at his personal absolute height, because he had been basically, like, building up magic and preparing spells for literally months before the barriers finally dropped, and he ended up casting against the demons. So, like, that wasn't just him, like, walking up and being like, oh, I'm just gonna start casting spells. He had a lot of prep time, like a lot of prep time, which is why he was able to do, like, such a over-the-top, grandiose feat. You know, it's like, can casual Lord Croak cast a spell so powerful that reality lags? No. It takes him a long time to build up to that level of might. But he can do it. You know, that was kind of like his version of casting the Gaseous Great Ritual. Doing the Feet at Alls and saying, yeah, oh yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I think Lord Croak, in my opinion, Lord Croak is the most powerful character in the setting. Like, when he was alive, Lord Croak was the most, I think, in my opinion, though I think it's an opinion that could be argued, but in my opinion, Lord Croak was the most powerful entity in the entirety of Warhammer Fantasy when he was alive. I think the only way something could have, like, beaten him would have been, like, there would have needed to be a genuine god trying to kill him. But that god would also, like, need to manifest into reality. It wouldn't be able to kill him from either.
I shall bury you with glory.
Barrier! When Ultimate End does 900 damage.
Impossible.
Ba 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 ba. All right, all that's left for us is PvP. Could any of the Everchosen equal Ritual Nagash? Yes, probably. Like, an Everchosen with all of the Dark Gods behind them, under the circumstances in which an Everchosen can exist, yeah, they could probably throw down with God Nagash, or Ritual Nagash. It would be a very uphill battle, but I do believe they could contest him. You know, he wouldn't just, like, backhand them out of existence. I love Undeath lore and Warhammer Fantasy. It's so cool. It's not just a small part of the setting. Yes, I am also glad that... I'm glad Chaos isn't just, like, the main character, you know, or, like, Chaos or humanity. You know, it's a much more complex web of different factions and types of creatures and power sources and all that other jazz. And everything is everything is fairly relevant as well, which is nice. Like, none of the factions are so weak that they don't have something absolutely nightmarish going on with them.
Conchimachid, X100. Lord Croak with prep time versus Batman with prep time. Who would win?
Batman with prep time? Probably Batman. I don't know how, but Batman. I can't explain it to you because I don't understand how it works. But it would probably be Batman. for reasons beyond our understanding. He would have some kind of, like, disable the winds of magic entirely ray. That would just, like, utterly shut down the winds of magic, which would make Lord Croak helpless. Somehow. Why? Because he's the goddamn Batman. That's why. It was awfully rude of them to attack us. Why are you not fighting Yellowverse? I don't know if they can read that chat, dude. Honestly, a little amazed we managed to chase him off. Justice for Gotham starts beating up Lord Croak. I don't know how he'd do it, but he'd do it.
Yeah.
I ain't dead yet. Oh, now I'm about to die. Yep. I put up a good fight, though. Is Yellow still working on that crystal, or is that a new one? I guess that is a new one. Ooh, yeah. Red is in a fairly advantageous position at the moment. I can hit y'all from up here. Get him, Bahamut! Oh, that was a fun fight. You know, we kind of need yellow to help us gang up on red. Red is being a bit of a problem. Fire everything I have. I'm probably gonna die, but I'm gonna die well, damn it. Yeah. I died, but I got the objective. Isn't a Lithanar Batman? No, a Lithanar is a little bit too war crime murder happy to be Batman. I mean, as far as memes go, Warhammer Batman is actually Eltharion. Yeah, Lithanar is more like the Punisher. Yeah. A Lithanar commits such like brutal acts of murder and torture that a global empire that has been at war a significant amount of its own existence is like, bro, you need to chill out. Like, they find him profoundly uncomfortable. Well, we're almost through it. Ooh, a bunch of us just died all at once.
X100. If Tech
Man,
was
Red
released,
ate us
it
for
safeguards
breakfast.
against corruption from magic and makes an end vow. Ask him to receive all the potential power he could ever get. Letting his hair grows longer and floating upward. Can he finally match half of Nagash power?
Hold on, I'll read this as soon as I'm out of this. Ah. Did I overchase? Yes. Was it enjoyable? Also yes. Can vampires survive underwater, by the way? Like full walk across the bottom of the sea to where they want to go? Yes, depending on the vampire. Not all vampires can. Some vampires can't cross moving water. That could be a big problem. Some of them have an extreme aversion to salt. So that could be a big problem. It just kind of depends on what their personal like weaknesses and strengths are, because every vampire is going to be different. Ooh, Red won that by a fair bit. I did good though. I felt like I did actually pretty good that game. Hey, look at that. Level... I'm wrong job. Level... 67. Let's fucking go. Yellow through. Yeah, they were being kind of annoying. Alice, do you have time to knock out journal stuff real fast? I don't have too many more I need to do. I just gotta do, I'll check after I'm teleporting. Only because it's Monday, so it's gonna swap over. Alright, we can go ahead and get this over with. This will give me my journal. Sorry, I missed the bit. If Techless removes all safeguards against corruption of magic and makes a Nin vow. I don't understand about Nin vows, know how that works. I know Nin vows have something to do with, like, the more dangerous or, like, vulnerable you make, or, like, the more specific, you make, like, a vow, and, like, the more narrow your power is, the more, the stronger it is. But I don't know, like, much more specific than that, because I've only, like, read about it. Okay, now I can re-roll if I want to. This has a pretty decent chance of a 2-line, though. It's not a guaranteed 3-line, but, like, I think I'd rather try and get a, like, a guaranteed 1-line. That's also a potential 2. That's a good chance of a 2. That's not that great at all, actually. Hey, guaranteed 1. That's still not great, but at least I'll take a guaranteed 1. All right, we'll do Shiva next. The Amphitheater, and then after that, we'll do the PT or I can't remember her name. The final Warring Triad member. Alright, now just a Warring Triad member, and we're done with Journal. Nope, nope. That was a misclick. P1, T6. Sophia. Would you want old world vampires to be led by a new character or existing one? Both. Well,
The unenlightened come.
I would want them to be led by Manfred.
My revelations are lost.
I would want the overall big bad to still be Manfred von Karstein. Because I like the story of him like going on his big world escapade. And like conquering or like going around and learning a lot about the world and being like this subtle force that is influencing matters, especially when it comes to the war against chaos. Like he plays his role in the war against chaos, but I would want him to be more like he's sort of lurking in the background of what's going on. The most active threat that they've like identified for us in this era of the world would be Wallach Harkin. And it would be pretty cool to see Wallach like sort of step up and be like, you know, have like the blood dragons be at a notably like dangerous part of their era, of a dangerous part of their story, and sort of allow the, it would be nice to allow the non-von Karsteins to have a good amount of the limelight, you know? I think that would be pretty cool. And if they wanted to give us new vampires, like I certainly wouldn't be like, no. I do think that if they were gonna want to mess around with like new vampires, like brand new vampires we've never heard of or met before, I would be more interested in seeing that from a Jade vampire lens. I think the Jade vampires would lend themselves best to the idea of like exploring brand new vampires who we've never excuse me, have never seen or heard of before, and how they influence the world. But that would be mostly a focus on like what's going on in Grand Cathay instead of like what's going on in the actual old world specifically. Elden Ring when? Tomorrow. We're gonna be continuing Elden Ring tomorrow. Or I guess later today, technically. In about 9 hours, give or take. We have our next Elden Ring sesh, where we're finally going to be doing Stormveil Castle, so that'll be fun. I feel like this Gallicat is always a bitch. Oh, there he is. He's way down here. Okay. Then we can go turn these in. After that dragon, Stormveil is going to be a breeze. I believe it. That fighting that dragon was objectively dumb, and I do acknowledge that. But man, it felt so good when we killed him. It felt so good when we killed him. Yeah, I gotta get enough. I gotta get enough runes that I can kill. What's it called? that I can use my Dragon's Maw attack, because to my understanding that attack is like super good. I think there's still like an item I need, because apparently I need an item that makes you, like, when you use the dragon attacks, it basically makes it where you cannot be interrupted. And that item, to my understanding, is like really important to the that item is like really important to good dragon builds. I love that Eater of D's. Eater of D's he's honestly, that was probably the best accidental name I have ever stumbled upon for a character. Because I mean, I was literally like being completely serious, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be the Eater of Dragons. And the game was like, oh, you ran out of characters, but it stopped me right at D. And I was like, all right, game, fair play. Fair play. Wait, what? Oh, right, it doesn't teleport me. All right, I'm gonna go over to the Golden Saucer to do my daily raffle shit. And then we're done. Because all of our other weekly stuff does not roll over until tomorrow. So, like, we can't do more things for the Dome and Enclave until tomorrow. But yeah, we've met D. I'm pretty sure we met D. Whatever. Yo, 1, 2, 3, let's fucking go! We got the jackpot, baby! Let's go! Well, I can play you a little music when you do that. So you're gonna eat him? I mean, if I don't, it kind of feels like false advertising, doesn't it? Alright, I don't think he has anything else for me. We will start tomorrow in Idleshire, so I remember to pick up a new journal. But tomorrow, well, I don't know if we'll play tomorrow. Because tomorrow I've got Elden Ring, and we've also got Lorebeards, and that's kind of a lot. So we probably won't play Final Fantasy tomorrow night. I'll probably be too tired. But the next time we play Final Fantasy, which will probably be something like Wednesday or Thursday or something, we will, beyond a shadow of a doubt, hit level 70. We will finish Astrologian for quite some time. Next time we do leveling. Like, super easy, barely an inconvenience. Which is great. That's another really exciting threshold. Because after Astrologian, our main focus for a while is actually going to be... our main focus after that for a while will actually be... Eureka. We're supposed to finish whatever half of Eureka is. So we actually need to figure out what would be considered like a halfway point for Eureka, because we'll be doing that before we start the next job. Alright. But anyway, I've still got to go put out trash, and there's a bunch of, like, storms and stuff supposed to show up. So I'm going to go ahead and peace out for tonight. Half is finishing the second area. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a perfectly good milestone. So that'll be our goal, is to finish Pagos before we level our next job, which is Samurai. Samurai is next. But anyway, I hope you all had a really good time. I am gonna go ahead and go put out trash and then go to bed so I could be up early for Elden Ring. How am I liking Elden Ring? I really enjoy it. I mean, it's a masterpiece of a game. It's super duper fun. There's plenty for me to bitch about in it. Some of the like bosses and creatures, like some of the really big ones, like some of their arenas like made me want to rip my own face off. But that's part of the experience, and I acknowledge that. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I will see y'all hopefully tomorrow for some Elden Ring. Oh no, Machinist is next. That's right. Right, because Machinist starts at 30. Samurai starts at 50. I don't know why I thought Samurai was a Heavensward job. I guess it's a Stormblood job, which would make sense. All right, anyway. Y'all take care. I will see you soon. Good night.